The man you're seeing on the screen with me right here is Marty Krofft. His name will trigger fond and nostalgic memories, especially if you were born in the 1960s and watched TV in the 70s like I did. The sibling duo of Sid and Marty Krofft were an incredible presence on Saturday mornings with shows like HR Pufnstuf, Lidsville, Sigmund and the Sea Monsters, and Land of the Lost. That is a small piece of the treasure trove of quality children's programs. Let's just go into this man's world. It is my true honor to welcome to the show the one, the only, Marty Krofft.
Hey.
All right.
Oh, good to see you, Dean.
It's nice to meet you, Marty. It really is.
Thanks.
We've been talking earlier.
Well, let me tell you. First of all, Dean, you're my blind date for today.
Yes, I did do my hair up like I was going on a date.
You know, and I guess we're trying to find out a little more about each other, which is good.
Sure.
And you must be good. You have a podcast. So let me just do one thing to start with. Because you asked me before we went on about, well, you know, you mind doing a show about music. Maybe you don't have that much music. I'm not 100% sure. You were saying to yourself, I made all this up. So let me just give you the things I can remember. Okay?
Sure.
Let me go back. You know, I'm going to go quickly first, then I'll go back. You can come back.
You got it.
When we're an act with our puppets, we had a night at the Hollywood Bowl with Johnny Green, major composer, director, was a pal of mine. Then I had a score on my first big hit from two very small songwriters, Sammy Cahn and Jimmy Van Heusen. Okay,
those are big. What do you mean small?
Then I'm going to skip around.
You got
I
it.
did the Pufnstuf movie, and I got this new young guy to come from New York with his partner to write the score on Pufnstuf movie, Charlie Fox and Norman Gimbel. After he wrote the score, he went and had the incentive to write a small song called Killing Me Softly. So that was another thing. And then, you know, along the way, well, Michael Giacchino did the Land of the Lost movie. He has all the movie scores in town. By the time he got to us, he was tired, probably. So I've always I had the Monkees. I had the guys who wrote the Monkees, Boyce and Hart.
Oh,
They
yeah.
wrote. I did Donny and Marie. I'm a little bit country. I'm a little bit rock and roll. That was me. Okay? Did that. Did Barbara Mandrell. I was the first one to do country music for the whole country with Barbara Mandrell and the Mandrell sisters. Then I did a small show called the Brady Bunch Hours with the Brady Bunch. That was all the music shows. Then I did Patti LaBelle and had major music there. I had on that show Cyndi Lauper.
Good grief. Wow.
Luther Vandross, and on, Amy Grant. So music has been a big part of our lives. You know, I've had a number of albums at Capitol. I mean, for a TV movie producer, I've done quite a bit of music stuff and gotten some great people. So this is not a total loss for you.
Thank you. I believe that.
I gave you enough to work with. I'm not telling you anything else.
Yeah, I was thinking. My wife and I were just talking because we grew up watching everything that practically everything that your brother and you created on TV, and most of it was Saturday morning television, although a lot of it was prime time as well. I enjoyed DC Follies and some of these variety shows that you were talking about, Donny and Marie's variety show. You did the Brady Bunch Hour for a quick run, and there was a lot of live action stuff that you were all famous for. It wasn't mainly, and you weren't known for your animation, but bringing your designs to life in puppets, Yeah.
We changed. The animators like Hanna-Barbera were not happy with us. It was all animation until we got in there in the 69. And then, of course, before that, he called me up and gave me the banana splits. He didn't know how to do it. He was probably sorry he did that, because then we took a lot of shows from them.
Oh, no.
Because they couldn't order the same amount from everybody. So, that was, we have nothing to complain about. I'm still doing it. Our company's still alive and well. We got stuff coming that's real special, and it takes a lot longer to get it to be made today. You're dealing with all the big companies, and we're probably the only one left that's an independent that owns everything we ever did. So that's the good part. We can't do it anymore. So I decided to do another one for kids about 5 years ago called Marty and Stuff at Nickelodeon, and we got 78 episodes there. And so, look, we still got our heart in it. I still have the goosebumps, and I'm happy to be here with you.
Oh, thank you, Marty. I do appreciate that. So you were talking about Capitol Records. That was something that you worked with Hanna-Barbera and created that thing, and then
no,
music.
Actually, we didn't do. We created the characters, directed some of them. No, actually, Capitol Records was the Pufnstuf movie at Universal with Charlie Fox, who wrote it. This was Jack Wilde, who was the Artful Dodger from Oliver, who was the kid in Pufnstuf, and he did an album there. The Bugaloos was our second series, The Four Kids I Found in England. Capitol Records did that one. And, the problem was then when you went out to tour, you could play. We played Madison Square Garden, the Felt Forum, sold out all the time, but there was nowhere else to go then. There was no touring thing then. So there was until the pandemic, right? And we'll see what happens now. So, that's basically, I'm still working every day.
Yeah,
we're at CBS, Radford in Studio City. That's where I am right now with you.
Yeah.
And, so everything is, a lot different, but, you got to work just as hard to make it happen, even harder. And there's a whole different atmosphere today. But, you have to accept what you have. So if you want to stay in the business, you got to just roll with the punches.
Good philosophy, good advice to give to people. Just keep rolling with it. You guys.
I'll give you the best advice. I only have one. I did. Pamela Aldrin. She had that show on. It's still on. On what is it?
FX. Yeah.
FX.
I know who you're talking to. Yeah.
So, anyways, I did that, and she was. I met her in a bakery at Gelson's, and then we bonded. All of a sudden, she asked me to be on the show. And so I gave her, I didn't know it was her. So I said, look, let me give you some advice. You're a writer. I said, never, ever give up. Because if you give up on Tuesday, there is no Wednesday. And Wednesday could have been the day. She said to me, oh, my God, wait till I tell my effing mother. She's 85. She's going to flip out that I met you. So the next thing I knew, I didn't know who she was. She offered me doing the show. And I said, I couldn't, I didn't know it was her. She was in the bakery. So I did the show. And as a matter of fact, last Thursday, she did Jimmy Kimmel and told me to watch it. And it was all about us, all about me.
I watched the same thing you're talking about. Yeah.
Oh, my God. So that was, so I sent, of course, a number of emails out to a few people. I sent one to Michael Ashley. He sent me an answer this morning. Fantastic, and then Bob Chapek, I know I sent him. I know how to move it around. So right. So anyway, so Pamela is like incredible. This is one of the great people. I tell you, I fell in love with her. She fell in love with us, and all I can tell you is I didn't tell you the whole story about what happened, how I, connected with her totally. But, it was big enough for her to spend her whole 8 minutes on Kimmel talking about Freddie the Flute and me.
Yeah, that was a great payoff. And I saw that your name was involved in the clip. I said, Marty's going to come out and present. But she showed this wonderful gift that you bestowed upon her. And that was a nice looking replica of Freddie the Flute that you gave her. That's a wonderful thing.
Well, it cost a lot of money to make that.
It's beautiful.
It was not the original.
No.
But she's got it. Yeah, he did good. Jimmy Kimmel did good.
Yeah. you and your brother did well with, obviously you were creating things that would satisfy you and what you thought that kids would be into, and you had a vision, and you always had an aesthetic with lots of wild colors and these high concept plots and all kinds of, in my opinion, you weren't trying to talk down to the kids. You were just creating something that was even, the parents could step in and watch the same thing and enjoy it with them. That's the impression I got with all of the things. Yeah.
I mean, everybody thought we were stoned on drugs.
Yeah, of course.
You cannot do shows being stoned on drugs. Maybe the audience was stoned on drugs, but we weren't. But anyway, yeah, we never really copied anything. We did this. It all came out of our hearts.
Yeah. Well, maybe it was projection, like they say in psychology. Drugs and things like that were on their mind, so they immediately went to that when they saw all the psychedelia type of.
By the way, I have a question for you. How long have you
sir.
had this podcast on?
10 years.
You're kidding.
Yeah.
Wow. What happened before the podcast? What were you doing?
The same thing I'm doing now. I still work a blue-collar job in addition to this to pay the bills. So.
Well, we understand that one.
Yeah. Now, did you ever have to do that, or were you kind of like you roll the dice and you pretty confident about how to do it?
Look, I was a kid in the Bronx. My major in college was survival. We had cockroaches and rats in the apartment. We had no cat. I started with zero. Okay. I mean, there was nothing. Okay. I got a nice note from my father, but there was nothing, So we built this with our own, with our own talents and our own gut. And, we were lucky that we got to do a lot of things. I always thought we didn't do enough, but we did a lot. A lot of the things we did, Dean, you don't even know about,
Right.
I mean, I worked on, example, I'll give you, Continental Airlines come up with the slogan, proud bird with a golden tail.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Chuck E. Cheese came up with Chuck E. Cheese. The guy who was owning it said, "You want a piece or do you want 100,000?" I looked at myself and I said, "This ain't going to make it. I'll take 100,000." So, I mean, those are the things that, did a lot of things.
Yeah.
We were building sets for All in the Family. That we had a factory, show business factory. So, we had a puppet school. We gave it away for free. So then we were the creative heads, and we had puppet shows in 1,000-seat theaters at the Six Flag parks, all of them.
Oh, wow.
Never did Disney. But, that's, so, I mean, it's been, it's not easy.
I've been really enjoying your Mondays with Marty that you do every Monday.
Okay.
Yeah, I've watched as many as I can, and they're great because they're pretty bite-sized. You can digest it in a quick 5 minutes or so.
Yeah, what I've tried to do is to tell stories that no one knows about, and tell the truth about what's going on, and not fabricate it. And my brother does that thing on Sundays, and he does it over an hour. But I can get it all in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I can tell stories that nobody remembers. And remember that I run the company. I went all over the world. My brother didn't do that. So I have knowledge that he doesn't even have of things that happened, how we got the Bugaloos, how Phil Collins got turned down by me as a kid to be in the Puffins, to be in the Bugaloos.
Right, right.
And just the stories go on. Being on tour with Judy Garland and Liberace and having dates with Sinatra, just, I mean, we've done all that. So this was not overnight.
That's incredible. Yeah.
But the Mondays with Marty, people should look at it. I think they'd like it. And it comes out of my heart, my head, no script. And I do anywhere from 3, 4, 5, 6 minutes. And I show clips of the shows that they hadn't seen in a while. So I think we've thought this thing through. Yeah, I've got an incredible guy who directs them,
oh, yeah.
Rob Klein, who's, knows more about Krofft than Krofft. So Rob is into, he has all this artifacts. In fact, he was hired by Disney for 5 years to straighten out their whole artifact areas that were all screwed up. So I thought we were the only one that had all of our stuff in warehouses that was screwed up. Disney had it also.
I guess that comes with the territory, you got to do it. But two main thoughts I take away from your series, these Mondays with Marty Krofft is, number one, you always seem to end it with, I'm still here and there's still more to do. And, you're still keeping on. And so that's a nice message. And then the other one is you accept that not everything is, you've had maybe a clunker or two like you were just talking about, but it doesn't really matter. You just pick yourself up and move on to the next thing because it's bound to get better, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you can't hit a home run every time. And you also, if you don't let things go, and if you start getting into the pity party and you get into the future and you start beating yourself up on what you did, you're going to go nowhere. So I try to stay in the moment with all of the complications that come my way. Because as long as you're in LA and you're in this business, it ain't going to be smooth.
Right. Any of these cities can eat you alive, but LA, I guess, is tough. There's so much to compete with in that arena. So you definitely found a way to stand out above the crowd with your, elaborate vision. It seems like you had something. All the shows you seem to do were like a premise that you could rattle off like an elevator pitch, as they call it.
Right.
Very easy to describe what the show is about.
Right. Well, if you can tell somebody your idea in 2 sentences, you got a great idea. And the idea of anything you do is the biggest thing, having the idea. And then you hand it over to writers and they screw it up. Right?
That could happen.
But the idea is where it's at. And that's what I was always good at.
Do you think that's a challenge? I mean, that could go for the songs, hiring songwriters or hiring directors and like that. Do you have to go through a few before you can find the ones you trust to do the job properly and the way you want it?
Look, you either go from what they did in the past or you have a gut feeling that they're into it. Because there's no guarantees on creativity. You never know. I've always been good at hiring young, new people and taking a shot.
Yeah.
Because young, new people don't know all the reasons why things don't work. So they're not throwing shit out, that could work, but they think it doesn't because they know too much.
Yeah.
Because knowing too much is not a good thing. The less dumb blondes have a lot better life.
There's a lot more I can learn than I can teach. So I like to talk to folks like you, and I'll learn a lot more that way. And the people really love it when you share the.
Well, you've survived
Yeah.
because of that philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
That's an important one.
Thank you.
Always being teachable. Everybody can always be teachable. If they can't, it's like if you have a lawyer that says, I know everything, get rid of him because he knows nothing. Okay? No one knows everything. Okay?
Let's hope
and
I don't need one.
Being teachable is great.
Let's hope I don't need a lawyer, but that's good advice to keep with. Yeah.
So, Dean, I have good news and bad news. I'm done with you.
Uh-oh.
I've given you everything I have.
Uh-oh.
And you don't owe me any money.
Thank you.
I'll give you some. You can do it.
Oh, thank you. If I don't tell you at the end of the show how much I appreciate just what you've said in the last few minutes, it's pretty good advice coming from somebody who's been around the block once or twice like you. I guess there's something to be said for if you're young and you have that energy. But yeah, like you said, if you think you know everything, you're wrong. So I think that
you gotta watch out. You gotta watch out for people who tell you that.
Let's talk about music. The first album, to your credit, was a soundtrack to that show you did at the World's Fair with your brother. I don't know.
Les Poupées de Paris.
There you go. I'm glad you said it because I think I was going to butcher it. In 1964?
Adults only puppet show, over 100 puppets, wooden boobs. That was big then.
And was it one of those shows like any other adult show you had? How old did you?
I went and got Jimmy Van Heusen.
Yeah.
And I got Sammy Cahn, Jimmy Van Heusen. And I said to Sammy, look, we're going to build puppets of Sinatra, Gene Kelly, Sammy Davis, on and on. I said, can you get me those people to record? He said, no problem. So I took a recording machine, Sinatra's house, Gene Kelly, everybody. I got everybody because of Sammy Cahn.
That is incredible.
Okay? Now,
Gosh.
you know, so that was the album we did at RCA. They paid for it. It was the most expensive, popular album so far. We sold 7 copies, but I had the soundtrack for the show. That was the main purpose. So, but then Sammy was in my life until he died. Sammy was great. You know, Sammy would tell me, you know what, Marty? Every time you have an anniversary, I lose a bet, he says. Right?
Oh.
So that was his line with me.
Yeah, you mentioned all the stars. There were some incredible talent, big names we're talking about. Pearl Bailey is a lot of
Bailey
people.
was on it.
Yeah, so these were all done specifically for the show, then, or the soundtrack. Anyway.
They wrote the score. Joe Reisman, he produced it at RCA. It was the most expensive, popular album to that date. And we sold 11 copies. But I got my score to play at the World's Fair. We set it up with 2 sound systems in case one broke. Bang! Oh, you put the other one in.
Good.
Okay.
Always thinking.
So
yeah. Well, wasn't it nominated for a Grammy at that time? And
you know what? I think it was.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, I don't remember. But I think it was.
I believe I read something that you got beat out by another big heavyweight. It was the Chipmunks, Ross Bagdasarian, David Seville, and the Chipmunks doing the Beatles, I think. So it was like a big deal. So you were up against something big. So I was hoping that was the start of something huge for you, doing that. But I'll bet it was anyway.
Well, at one point, sometimes we're down the road a little bit. We did the Pufnstuf movie in '70, and we did the track. The album was on Capitol. Charlie Fox, Norman Gimbel wrote it. I had Mama Cass singing a song "Different." That was almost a hit, Yeah. And that was they wrote a real nice score. There's some things going on now that could be very big for Pufnstuf. I can't talk about it.
It's okay.
But, so I got to tell you, I don't know if it's sad to say or good to say I'm still in the action, but my daughter runs the place, Deanna, and I have 2 other daughters, so there's 3 of them, but one of them is Deanna. The other 2 are not involved.
Oh, okay.
So, so we're pretty well covered as a family. And, I'll stay here until they carry me out of CBS.
Hey, why not do it?
They want me to be. I want to carry myself out.
Why not go out on a high note, doing something you love, right?
Well, you know what? If you go home, retire, and watch daytime television, you could be dead in 1 month.
It plays with your mind and your body. It's not good for you, but. Yeah, well, you're talking about the Pufnstuf movie. That's moving ahead from the actual series. But you talked about Charlie Fox a couple of times. I did get to interview him, and we talked about that particular movie. So, it had notable performance. You said Mama Cass was in there, and then you also had one of your favorites, Billie Hayes, was in there doing. She got to join in. And,
she was a home run.
Yeah,
she was a home run. Billie Hayes. That score was the strength of that score. It was all positive.
Yeah. So HR Pufnstuf, what I was curious about is that the music that was used in that. Didn't you or Sid hire a guy named Les Zarves to do the?
Yeah, we hired a guy.
Yeah.
Sid, that was Sid's find.
Yeah,
he was very good. He couldn't write music though. He had to do it by singing into a machine.
Yeah.
Okay. But he wrote some great things. I'm a Mechanical Boy, Orange, just all those songs in Puff in the series.
All 17 episodes. That was the most incredible thing I told my wife about. I said, "Are you aware that all 17 of those shows were done and aired in like 4 months' time? Like a whole season was done at the end of the year in 1969."
Yeah, but that's all we had.
Yeah.
People thought we had 100 episodes.
It felt like it, but because of the reruns, the network carried the weight the rest of the way, let it live for a while. Marty. Wonderful to talk to you. And what's the best thing? You have like a site that people go on the internet so they can Sid and Marty Krofft Productions or something like that?
A website, Sid and Marty Krofft. That's it.
You got it. Okay. I just want to make sure that I do you justice, that we've been talking and
Well, I don't know. I got to tell you the truth. I never know what it is. Christine, when you don't know your own website, you know you got trouble. All right, brother. Bye.
hope to talk with you down the road. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Marty. Bye-bye.